they're roughly all folklore from rabbis. It's traditions that the rabbis would pass on to their to teach them about Christianity. So it is kind.
If you need a burp, you're allowed to burp. It's that kind of
I
story.
know. Well, I'm a lady. Thank you. Have manners.
Hey, 2H2Fers, this is part two. Usually this is on Thursday, but we just went too hard too fast. We're breaking this up into three parts. Uh, a lot of stuff to talk about. I don't know what we're talking about. Like, we're just going to go too hard too fast. So sit back, buckle up, and let's go too hard too fast. Give me the boom.
Boom.
Oh.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast.
Too hard, too fast.
Too hard, too fast.
Too hard, too fast.
Welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast.
Welcome back to Too Hard, Too Fast, where Worm finally decided to show up.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hey, thanks for coming on.
Hey, even your dog showed up.
The podcast of the century.
Right.
I know we've had this conversation before, but I always say, the decolonization of the mind is the most important part, because our indigenous culture is provided that path to sexuality. Indigenous culture was very homo, for lack of a better word. It didn't have such constructs, but it wasn't until the colonization of the people that traditions were taken away, that classism was taught, that certain way of thinking was taught, and now that's why we're so restricted. I mean, it's funny that we've gone from a free-based sexuality to kind of like the getting what is that thing where they stick a tube up your in
Oh, yeah.
an enema? No, not an enema.
No,
Lobotomy. No. What was it called? Well, back in the day, they would cure homosexuality by like putting that.
Lobotomy, something like that.
Yeah, lobotomy.
Lobotomized or something. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
I think we're mixing a couple of words together.
Yeah, I think we're mixing a few words together. But it's funny that American culture has gone from that to like the sexual revolution to women's rights to, and it's just kind of progressed from there, and we're kind of like returning back to the roots. And I think it's something kind of there's something kind of romantic about the fact that we're getting to an area where free thought and inhibitions aren't as limited as they were, that we're able to kind of construct our own identity. We're kind of able to construct our own belief system and spirituality and all this, and it's weird when you start talking about spirituality and religion when you're gay, because people are like, you can't be both. You can.
You can't eat at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. You shouldn't eat at Chick-fil-A.
I forgot. I always do that. You always give me Anyways, we're not gonna get into that yet.
I don't judge people for their eating preferences, George.
Well, I hope not, because I have a lot of eating preferences.
We're not going to talk about eating.
But it is a big point that I've known a lot of gay people that are very much devoted to the church. They still like devout. Is that the word, devout?
Yeah.
Devour is what I'm thinking. But they go to church, and so it is like it's always a topic as well. It's like, how do you go when they don't accept you or whatever?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not. I don't know if you want to talk about that or not. But I know you are very much into.
Yeah, I'm very Catholic, and which is kind of funny because my brother always makes fun of me because I am very decolonize your thought process, and I don't respect my colonizers and all that. And my brother's like, well, you respect their religion. So
I cannot do this. Jen's over here going, oh my God, I love it.
But I am very Catholic. I do believe in God. I go to church. And I think that's just a different journey from your identity. You know what I mean? Because there's
what makes you like deep Catholic? And I'll say this before you answer that. I grew up very Catholic, and I always went to church, was in the youth group, participated in retreats and all that, and then just maybe a handful of years ago, I was just like, I'm kind of done with it. Like, I don't know if like I know
Mhm.
I still believe, but I just don't know if I believe in the whole aspect of religion or the whole aspect of like have to go somewhere for it. I don't know, and I always tell my mom because obviously my mom's still like, she prays
Yeah.
for me to go
I
there.
Jorge.
Yeah, it's like come on. And she always invites me. She always invites me, and I'm like, no, I don't, not right now. And I always tell her like, maybe one day I'll get back to it, but right now I'm still kind of just like, toying or like tossing things and like, do I believe in this or do I just believe my own thing now? What am I doing? I don't know. But what makes you more?
I think that's the beauty of religion, and that's the beauty of God. If you believe in God, I think that's the beauty of it, because God gives us the ability to have free will. So He gave us free will. That free will gives us the ability to doubt, to believe, to express, to think, and that's the beauty of why God loves us so much. You know what I mean? Because if God wanted to, I mean, we believe that God is powerful. Okay, some people will be like, okay, yeah, you believe in a fictional character, like, but if you believe it's your belief system, we believe that He created the world. He could just snap His fingers and we could all become believers. You know,
This Tano us
yeah,
all over.
just yeah, end game it.
Endgame it.
And, yeah, and He didn't. Why? Because religion is the journey. If something was given to you, you don't appreciate it, right? When you're a kid, we're given all these toys when we're little and we're playing with them. They're in the mud. They're like, you take them everywhere. You have your blankets. They're like in the mud. And
Hey, hey!
and when you're an adult, you work for things and you learn to appreciate them better. Now you have nicer shoes, you have nicer clothes, you learn to take care of things. They're valuable to you. They're valuables. That's why they're called valuables. Some people call them riches, some people call them antiques, some people call them heirlooms. So it's kind of the
Some
same
people still have their
philosophy.
colchas.
Yeah. Some people come with the same philosophy in religion. If God just wanted to make us all believers, we wouldn't appreciate it. But the fact that He allows us to go into suffering, that He allows us to experience life, downs, ups, happiness, sadness, those experiences is what helps us create that foundation. Because a lot of people, we tend to only ask God when we need something, like, oh, God, please get me out of this, or please send me money, but we never really remember, like, hey, thanks God for letting me see. I always say, thank you for letting me open my eyes and breathe today. The small things. Most people sometimes they don't, I hate saying they don't wake up, but they go to sleep and that's it.
Yeah.
We're lucky every day that we get to experience life, and that whether that day comes with happiness or sadness, you get to experience it. And it's kind of just the journey of faith, the journey of believing. And I'm not going to say that I'm the most devout Catholic, but I've had my ups and downs, and I've had the reasons of why I believe in Him and why I don't, and why I still doubt. I'm very analytical when it comes to these type of things, and I'm just like, you expect me to believe that Adam and Eve created the whole world? It just doesn't
It
make
was Adam
sense.
and Steve.
Yeah, and
You
I
know
feel.
what? I'm gonna say this: if there was Adam and Steve, maybe Steve wouldn't have eaten that apple, and we'd all be in the garden right now.
I know.
Chingo. I'm just saying.
I,
Hey,
I,
we need to get a woman's perspective. What do you think about Eve? I'm just kidding.
but she was necessary.
Yeah, necessary evil.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna look at the Bible, Eve, the story of Adam and Eve, and all of that, those are just folklore that the rabbis told.
See, that's one thing I've always talked to Worm about is like like the whole Bible, like how much of it is just like
Yeah,
cautionary tales from like, oh, we
like
don't
the
like
like.
this, we don't like this, so let's say stories about this so we can prevent
I mean, the
this.
first 5 books of the Bible, they're called the Pentateuch. They're roughly all folklore from rabbis. It's traditions that the rabbis would pass on to their to teach them about Christianity. So it is kind
if you need a burp, you're allowed to burp. It's that kind of.
I know. Well, I'm a lady. Thank you. Have manners, and that's how stories were told. How do we know about La Llorona? Through stories, through folklore. So that's how the ancient teachers, the rabbis, used to pass on religion to their people, because Christianity or Catholicism is rooted in Jewish roots and Jewish learnings and teachings. It's often like the Old Testament is the roots, and the New Testament is kind of the tree that grew from that roots. But then it just becomes on what we choose to believe. Some people like to still look at the laws of Leviticus, and that's one of the major arguments when it comes to gay. Thou shalt not sleep with men as thou lies with women, or whatever. And a lot of people take that out of context too sometimes. So I always tell them, why don't you bother reading what was going on in the time of Leviticus? Maybe you'll find out.
Well, I don't think I know too much on the outside of what was going on. The real when seven strangers stopped being respectful. What was that? I don't remember.
Oh yeah, the real world.
Yeah.
I love that show.
When they stop being respectful, when they start being real. But so like that's what's just only one aspect that I've been questioning about like organized religion is whoever wrote this book, however many people were part of it and then translated, because also the translation obviously doesn't translate the same, and who knows that the translation was respected and they just wrote down their own stuff. But like, let's go back to like the Llorona talk. Let's say that's folklore and stuff being passed down. If you really like oversimplify the Llorona story, it's like you're driving. At least from like, there's many stories.
Yeah.
But one of the stories is you can be driving over a river, a bridge, and there's a woman. You hear a woman crying, and she's asking for a ride, and all of a sudden, like, she comes up, or if you stop, whatever, like, she won't let you go, or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
Or she'll appear with you and follow you and stay with you. To me, that's almost like a hey, don't pick up hitchhikers.
Yeah.
You see something, just keep it going. And so, if my mom's telling me the story, my aunt, my abuela, whatever, whoever, I shouldn't say whatever, whoever, it's almost like a constant story like that. Hey, I don't want him to get hurt, so don't do this.
It's the same principle as El Cucuy.
Exactly. Well, yeah, there you go. And why is the cucuy in the closet? Let him come out. It's
why is he only in the dark, creeper?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, call the police. Anyway, don't interrupt me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm already losing train of thought here. Too hard, too fast. No. What bothers me is what if this person is offended with guys sleeping with guys, no matter what's going on at that time, he doesn't like it, or she doesn't. Because we know women weren't writing the stories because they were being also pushed down.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't like it. And he says, "Oh, God says that you shall now sleep with men," and that's like his way of changing future history.
Mm-hmm.
Just to avoid what he doesn't like. And again, ladies and gentlemen, it's just perspectives. It's what just thoughts.
Again, this is a podcast about. Yeah, I should probably say I'm not a theological expert or student in the seminary.
Exactly. We know certain stuff, but again, we're not changing.
This is just from my own faith-based journey that has taken me 20 plus years in research. Like you're saying, sometimes, for example, we can use Martin Luther and the separation of church when he separated into what was it? Martin Luther created Protestant.
Protestant I think so.
Yeah. So you
can say yes. I mean, this is too hard to pass.
Someone will fact check us.
Why
know,
is it that this is the most time I've ever had to say this on the podcast? This is too hard, too fast. We don't check facts.
yeah. So, and he separated from the church because he wanted to divorce, and the church didn't allow divorce at that time. So it just kind of comes as the why does religion change? Religion does
What
change
is
sometimes.
convenient?
Yeah,
That's the word that was like the whole thing. It's not convenient for one person. Well, let's make it convenient.
exactly. And the Catholic Church gets a lot of flack because they're one of the churches that has not changed their doctrine over the past 2,000 years. They have not changed it. And a lot of people are like, you need to get with the times. And it's kind of cool that this new Pope Francis, is very very open, and he's kind of more progressive than most popes have been. And he kind of is opening that doorway, but he's still very concentrated in the doctrine of the church. But he is very open to having dialogue. And I think that's the most important part. I have one of my friends, she's a transgendered woman, and we always have this conversation. She's like, if I want to go to church, will I be accepted there? And I say, I honestly have to say no. But I don't say that with the fact that God will not accept her. I say that with the fact that people will not accept her. Unfortunately, in Catholicism, we believe that the church is the people. And sometimes the people's opinions of what someone who is Christian looks like is not gender normative. But God loves us for who we are. I used to have religious education when I was younger. And I had
Yeah, we all had to take the religious classes in our later life.
And and I had a sister. Her name was Sister Mary Justice. I don't know if she's still alive or now, but she was from the order of Mother Teresa, the Sisters of Charity. And I remember I was taking my confirmation class, and she goes up to me and she's all like, "Victor," she was this short, like just Indian lady, and she's like, "Victor, you doubt. Why do you doubt so much? You see that cross? You see Jesus Christ on that cross? The nails, they shed his blood for you. They shed his blood for you. He died for you, knowing who you were going to be and who you were going to be. And he loved you so much that he still died for you." And it's something that has always just stayed in my mind. Like, it is just embedded in there. I'm like, Jesus Christ died for me, knowing exactly who I was going to be. And excuse me, Jesus Christ, but I'm a piece of shit person sometimes. And I was like, "Oh, what's up, worm?"
Oh, the bear! Wants to see the bear! Hold on, I can't get my my late or what?
You're very late, and you missed the whole religion. We're in like the last part of talking about religion. Oh my god!
Yeah, yeah. Dean, say something, Pop. Tell him.
Oh, now he froze on us.
Oh yeah.
This guy comes late and comes to internet.
Yeah, comes late and just.
You're not supposed to say where he's from. No, I'm just
You can burp it out.
burp it out.
Bleep it out.
All right, I think he's gone. I'm gonna knock him out for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it froze.
Okay. For continuity, he died for our sins.
That's a lot of sense at one moment right there.
Yeah, that was a whole but and it's something beautiful about that. The fact that it comes down to even the fact that Jesus Christ even had his own journey of faith to walk. He was still tempted by the devil. He still knowingly came to this earth knowing that his father was essentially giving him up for sacrifice. He was the lamb to slaughter.
Yeah.
And he still chose to come down here and fulfill that will. And so sometimes it's like, okay, how do we become more Christ-like? Because to me, that's what Christianity means. How do I become more Christ-like? And Jesus, the Bible talks about 2 commandments. The first commandment is thou shalt love God above all other gods. And then the second commandment is thou shalt love your neighbor like you love yourself. You know, and those are the two
Is that
commandments of
true? I
love.
don't know if that's true. Are those the first two commandments?
Not
I
the
feel like
first two commandments. They're the first two commandments of love, not the 10
oh,
commandments.
okay, that's what I was thinking. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm also remembering the time you got a Bible verse tattooed in your
Oh
lip.
yeah.
You still got it?
Yeah.
Has it faded at all? It doesn't come
Yes.
through the camera, but
Yeah. It's Psalms 51:15.
I remember the moment and I said, "Bro, what if you got it wrong?" Like, no, we got. And I told, "Hey, go get a Bible. Let's check this." And it was the wrong verse, but it was because you had a different Bible
Yeah.
that had it right, but on the other one it was something different.
Yeah. I went by my Bible.
Dude, I laid into you.
I hated you that day. I was like, you're such a dick.
I really thought that was the end of the
Hey,
friendship because it's like I went hard on that.
I'm over here like swallowed lip, like
And you were
here
all
comes,
proud too, like,
yeah,
wow.
here comes Georgia. Like, shut up, George.
This is why nobody likes you,
This
George.
is why no one wants to be friends.
So anyway, so Worm, I just checked my phone. Worm said his computer his computer restarted and he has to update. It has to update. That's what he
Pobrecito worm.
Oh man.
That's what
Hey,
happens
he
when you get
missed the
viruses.
religion talk, man. He wanted to talk about the religion talk. And he
I'll have
missed that.
hey, well, tell him we'll have a Zoom privately.
The private one, yeah. Maybe we'll do it for Thursday's part two. No, I'm just kidding. We've had enough religion. The Pope is calling me and going, hey, you guys.
Yeah.
Enough.
Hey, I already got a message from the diocese like, hey, don't mention us.
You've already said it too much.
Yeah.
Oh, Jen wanted me to ask one question. Well, she has two, but first one is, are there any other things that you have in your life, like religion, even with being decolonized? I don't know what that means.
Oh, like decolonizing my religion?
No, like you know how you said like your brother always makes fun of you because like you're.
Oh, because
like,
I believe in religion?
So, yeah, you used to believe in religion. Are there any other things in your life that you're like, oh, well, I'm still gonna like hold true to this, even though it's a part of like that colonization? Or
Yeah, I think for the most part, the religion is the big one.
okay.
And I'm like, and it's been a hard battle actually.
And tell me,
Because
what does indigenous mean, or is that the same thing?
I've been slowly trying to decolonize that. Also, I can't even say the word.
yeah,
As
decolonize.
well. And so religion is definitely like a big one in my life. Not that religion's big as it is for you, but I'm learning things and I'm just like, like
Yeah, you can get put off easily.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
So I don't know where I'm at on that, but yeah. So I was like, oh, I wonder if he has any. Oh, Jorge wants me to go, but I look like a mess.
It's weird because I don't know how it's coming through.
Oh.
I can hear her.
Anywho, let me throw my hair back up because. But yeah, so I was like, oh my gosh, let me talk to Victor about it because I can't talk to Jorge about it because he's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What? But like, so I'm slowly like kind of trying, like learning or doing that or like trying to like decolonize. Because I've always felt it, but I never knew what it was. You know what I mean? Like I never knew why or like what was in me that caused all these, or not caused, but like I had stirred up all these feelings. So I was just like, oh, okay. Like I wanted to get your perspective on it.
Yeah, I think my thing is, okay, because for example, I mentioned before, I'm queer, indigenous, I'm an artist, and like for you see my artwork back there, we were talking about it earlier, and part of my artwork is influenced by Mexican culture and indigenous culture, and now I've identified more indigenous than I do Mexican, because our ancestry is indigenous.
Right. And like I want to do the DNA test so that I know. Like I've always wanted like a beautiful like headpiece tattoo. And like just like why? Like you more
you're like, I don't want to appropriate culture or like
I know, and I'm just like I'm Mexican though. Like I internally like I feel like that is my culture that I have known nothing about. but I love it. Like I'm I think where I'm trying to come on. That like I feel connected to in some way, and what are you doing? And but like I had nobody to talk to about, you know?
Yeah.
We should have a segment on this too. No, I'm just kidding. What are you doing?
Shit, what's up?
What's up,
Sorry,
Worm?
my computer's not working. I had to log in on my phone. Yeah, Victor, I'm sorry, bro.
What?
Hey,
George.
you have where you live on there, man.
Yeah?
I know. I know. It says
Does it?
yes.
It doesn't come out on the.
I'm glad that's inaccurate.
Yeah, you're like 50 miles away from there, right? Just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was wondering if you had any other kind of thing.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, my I don't want to say like affinity, but like my love for culture came from my time in San Antonio. Because prior to that, the school system, you know, Texas school system does not teach you about Mexican culture at all. Like the closest we get to Mexican culture in Texas is Texas history in junior high.
Yeah, and
You
just
know,
like
and it's just the Alamo.
Like, yeah, that's it.
And even then, the Mexicans were the bad people.
And the only one you hear is Santa Ana, and that's it. And you're just like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah, we're Santa Ana. That's it.
I know. That's it.
You know, and then you know the funny part is a lot of people think Santana died in the Alamo.
Yeah, everybody thinks we won the battle at the Alamo or something.
Yeah, and I was looking at it the other day because I was like, where did Santana die? He died in Paris, like of old age.
Oh, wow. See, I thought he did die in battle here. I just didn't think it was
edit that out.
Yeah. And you know the funny part is like my tia comes and visits us here in Oak Cliff, and she comes from Guanajuato, and in Mexico, Santana was not revered as a war hero.
Oh.
Which I think is a funny thing, you know, but that's where my kind of love for culture came about, is going to school in San Antonio, and I used to have Ms. Deborah Vasquez. She's still an art professor at Our Lady of the Lake. If you've seen her, she drives that little yellow truck.
Dang, totally just putting her out there.
I know, just put her out. Well, I love her. Deborah Quetzalin Vasquez. She was the art professor when I was there, and she just threw me in and immersed me into the world of culture. Like, she used to be the art director for Galeria Tonantzin over there by the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center, and I used to work with her. Me and Monica would work with her after school, and it was the best. We got to collaborate and work with other artists, and it's just kind of where I learned culture, and it led me down the path of finding like what is it, and that's why now I'm more identifying with indigenous culture than Mexican, because Mexican is still a terminology that was placed by our colonizers.
That's what I was telling George, and he's like, oh my God, Jennifer, here you go. And I'm just like, but no, like this, like I'm passionate about this. Like this is something that I'm.
And it's true, because when you really start to think about it, our family we're in the Americas. So if Native American tribes like the Cherokee, you know, the Navajo Nation, they're considered Native American, which, you know, it's like we are a native to America. Our family was here. Our ancestors were here. They traveled from the northern United States. That's why when you really start to compare like Indian nations, I don't like saying indigenous nations, there's people in Alaska that look like people in Peru.
Yes, yeah.
You know, there's similarities. And that's why I identify more with what indigenous culture has, because it's more authentic to who we are. Yeah, our colonizers played a big part in our class system, because we are, you know, thanks to them, if you weren't white and beautiful or like, you know, sharp features.
Like me?
Like you were exactly like you.
Yes. That nose is
that's white on my birth certificate, so. And I'm beautiful.
Exactly, like, and that as well, or like, you know, like all that. It's like always frustrating.
Yeah,
just, like,
beauty trends.
I know, like I guess because people throughout my whole life, like I've heard like, oh, you're not Mexican enough. Like I've heard that a lot, like multiple times. And then like friends that were from the border, even like Jorge, and I'm just like, okay, but like that's fine. Like I'm not. Like I'm not. Like I'm third generation, like San Antonian, like American or whatever you want to call it. And so like it never really like bothered me because I'm just like, like that's fine. Because I've always had something else like but I'm this. Like I've always thought like, but that's okay because I'm more like native or at the time or whatever. So I was just like, but
there's that there's that saying like when you're cooking that they're like, how do you measure your cooking? Or I was like, is he signing on twice?
Worm, you're signing on twice?
Yeah.
Why so what? Oh, you know what? One for him.
Worm times 2.
Yeah.
Ah.
Or what is it? Worm squared? Worm squared.
Yeah, worm squared. The world doesn't need worm squared.
Popovich.
That's awesome.
He's so cute.
Totally derailing the
He's so
podcast,
cute.
but here we go.
I don't
No,
know.
you're good. Hey, Worm, I can't hear you though.
I know we can't hear you.
Oh, my bad. That was him as a kid, and now I'm leaving. All right.
No, that was.
Go ahead,
You
man.
should have left them
I'm
on.
gonna get drunk, Victor. I just wanted the people to know.
Anyway,
The show
okay.
ain't nothing without me, Victor. I'm sure you felt that. It's all good.
Yeah, I was feeling.
go.
Yeah, we'll have to have a conversation.
I know we are gonna have a conversation.
We'll invite you back on for another for the Indigenous podcast.
Yeah, the cultural aspect.
Cultural aspect.
All right, 2H2Fers. I think once again, wow, I'm ending the conversation here for part 2. There's gonna have to be a part 3. There's so much to talk about. But with that said, I don't want to say too much because I think part 3 we really get into a lot. Worm, what are you gonna say though?
Hey, Oak Cliff. Oh shit.
That's my hood.
Oak Cliff.
Oak Cliff, yeah, that's my hood.
Boom.
I just got here. Hey, stick around for part 3. Subscribe. Too Hard, Too Fast podcast. Worm finally joined us. He showed us his dog. Jenn took over the podcast for a while. Like I went for a potty break, and then all of a sudden, like she's interviewing Victor.
It felt good, dude.
But with that said, remember, dare to be you, dare to be weird. Bye.